the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. We look at SPY specifically here on the day, and I will say it was a bit of a surprise. Our targets going into today, and I even said, like, on the aggressive side, I was looking for a push down into like 573. First goal was obviously to come into this level here around 575, but obviously in the after hours, you gapped straight down, market opened, and you went straight through 573, breaking down even further. We mentioned you break below 573, it's highly likely we come back into July previous all-time highs around 565. Now, we had Apple earnings here in the after hours, and that's kind of where we're at and what we're looking after this as well. Because again, this is a little bit more choppy. Just really quick, if I bring up the VRVP so you can actually see that range of liquidity and what's really taking place here. You can see there's a lot of liquidity in this range right now. If you bring it out a little bit further, you can see that, this goes a little bit further, and you can see there's, liquidity way down here, and that this is definitely going to be more reliant. But again, this is definitely more choppy than up here, what we were watching for there. Now, this is where the real pain ensued on the day, and we'll go into semiconductors and how they played the large, part of this, right? We had our range down here. We were looking for a bottom touch of that range. Well, let me tell you, in the pre-market at 3 a.m. London, we mentioned this as well on Twitter. If you do not follow on Twitter, I recommend doing so. I have a lot of stuff in the works over there as well. As far as funded accounts that I want to be talking about over the next few days. But again, I've been saying this over and over on Twitter, right? London, right? London open here 2 a.m. is when I suspect more aggressive selling. So again, we go back here, London open, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., aggressive selling steps in, push to the bottom range, market open, pre-market 7 a.m., boom, you start selling off. So we start pushing to the bottom of this range, out of the range as well. And I'll say right now, where you're looking for going into this week, and this isn't good. This isn't great. This is bad news, right? It's coming back down into 1995. Now, what I want to do, and again, I hate doing it because I have to redraw everything else later, but giving you a visual of why this is so important, right? Just really quick, let me do a little bit of a box around 1997, 1995, roughly. This little low here, we'll just draw a little box like that. But you can see, this was your pivot point. Right? We held. We dropped below. We got stuck below. Got to try to fake out above, mount, fake mount, push back down. We've mounted it here, pushed, and then eventually pushed up. Now, again, you start getting below this, and you go back into the realm of the 200 SMA becoming more and more of a retest possibility. Now, what I will say is you're still technically making those higher lows on higher time frames. That's what you'd love to see. But right now, it is potential we start selling back off that you get into a dangerous territory of have you put in a lower high now? That'd be the concern. And if we start breaking below 200, that's a long ways off. That's when selling can really start to play out. So there's a few names that we have to really talk about and what we're looking at here. So going into tomorrow off rip, I am looking for 1995 and the reaction there. If we break below this, I will tell you right now, it's likely, very, very likely if we get stuck back below this, that we push back down to this little lower range of 1998. But I don't see a lot of support back to the downside. I'm going to tell you right now, there's not a lot of support. If I go to the daily, I can probably draw an overall demand for you. I already can see where it is. What I would really be looking for as for an actual demand is going to be closer down here to 1997, going all the way down into like 19.5, give or take. So right, 19.7, 19.5, locally down here is the last place you created a demand, right? So again, below 1997, selling. That's what I'm looking for there. And then ultimately the 200 SMA after that. So again, we're coming to support. Now in the after hours, what are we looking at? Few things, right? We're going to go into semis first. I'll go over earnings here in a second on Apple and Amazon. But I told you about semis yesterday, and I want to make something very clear. When we're looking at semis, there's really one major level is 256. Above 256, in my opinion, the Nasdaq runs all-time highs. Below this, you struggle. We talked about this yesterday, breaking down as well. We said if we break down, you're looking for a 239 touch. You got very close. You came down to the range at 240, but I'm looking for more selling after this as well. But that's where we're at right now and kind of what I'm looking for. So again, we'll see how we react. You should expect some buyers around 239. It's your little high you hit back here in March as well. But if you break below that, you're looking for the 200 SMA near 232. So definitely some cause for concern if selling ensues aggressively tomorrow. Now, earnings. Apple. I told you I was worried about Apple. I told you I was worried. Their earnings were just lackluster, like came in line of expectations. But the problem is what they're seeing with the overall demand. And this is what I've been talking so much about and why I was so concerned with Apple is you thought there'd be more demand with Apple Intelligence and what they're doing. I will tell you, as a product user and testing it out, it is amazing. It is awesome what they're doing. But the other side of this, they did a terrible release, and it's playing out with the demand of the overall product. So again, as I look at Apple, I'm going to tell you right now, the concern is continuation here to the downside for sure. Okay. For sure. Right now, in my opinion, I wouldn't be going short unless you get below like 224, 223.7. I think it's J's level here as well, into 220, and then back down like to 217, 215. But again, be careful here. If I want to see Apple's movement after the call and going forward as well. I'm just recording this video. Today's my son's birthday, so I have a lot of stuff to do today. But again, what I'm looking for, if this keeps selling off, I believe this will hurt the market as well and further push us to downside also. Amazon. There was 3 stocks I was excited for that I said over and over that I think it could beat. 1 was Google. 2 was Microsoft. I was wrong. Microsoft earnings did well. The call did really bad. And then Amazon. Now, all these had something in common is that they weren't sitting at all-time highs. Now, Amazon has kind of been consolidating here, kind of pinching, and you're trying to push up right now to 196. Now, I think Amazon is working in the right direction. New products, what they're doing with their servers, they're bringing everything in-house, their AI products, they're killing it. So Amazon looks really good, but I'm going to tell you right now, just be conservative here. It's very simple what you're looking for on Amazon. A break above this like level here, like 196, 195.5. Looking for a push back into all-time highs, 198 to $200. Okay, over 200, price discovery look really good. But again, be careful for the rejection there. And again, my number 1 rule of thumb is if the Nasdaq looks weak, maybe you don't try to go long on the market while the stock market doesn't look that good. So things that we're looking at right now. Now, really quickly, SPY levels, QQQ to show you again, in case you forgot. Below 573, I'm looking for that downside into locally 566 to 565.27, your previous all-time high back here from July, number 1, okay? ES, very clear as well. ES futures, there might be a little bit of a disconnect here, but again, I am looking for that level back, as you're already below your July level there as well. I was looking for 5730, but I kind of missed the fact that we closed down there. It's very concerning where you're ending at right now. But again, getting below 5730, I mean, you look terrible. How else do I say it? You'd be looking for that push all the way down to like 5682. This is very concerning. So again, we'll see how you react to 5730. You bounce there a lot early in October. But again, we need to see more. We need to see more out of buyers here. You got to see more out of buyers because right now it doesn't look good. QQQ, very clear and easy to see here as well. Again, let me clear up some of these levels as well because these are some day trading levels I was looking at for the day. But again, as we jump back in here really quickly, again, you're looking at this little previous high here. You have a previous high there as well around 487, the top where we get into that illiquid zone. But again, you're breaking back down here also. Going to something like the daily to really identify some of the supply and demand levels. Again, you can see right here as well. You're getting something right there. And you have a next one down here as well in your 475. But I'd be looking more towards this 480 to 477. You start flipping this, you start getting back below these pivot lows here. Again, I would be looking for a break, push back down to 469, 470. And then once you break below 470, like the 470 range is when you're very concerned because there's not a lot of liquidity all the way down to 460, which again leads you back to your 200 SMA. Okay. So right now the question is, do buyers step in? You're at a point where buyers have to step in. And you look at, again, Nasdaq. And this is why I think Nasdaq is so important, is because you're coming back into that major pivot level, right? That 1995 level, right? Over and over, we retested it. So if you hold here, you look good. You get below this, I'm favoring downside in the short term. So again, what I'm looking at broad in the market overall. I'll have some more stuff posted on Twitter, so make sure you're following on there as well if you're interested. Again, I have some stuff coming out too with funded trading, so I'll be going over to that on the second channel as well. Also too, we do have some spots available in Discord. This will be available most likely going into tomorrow. We might have it over the weekend. I don't know. It just depends how many spots stay available. So far, it says 20. It has to update later on, just to let you know. But again, the text alerts are available as well. So make sure you check that out. The link is down below, and it will be on Twitter. So check it out. So again, that's what we're looking at there. Now, stock-wise, what are we looking for? What are we going to trade? Now, again, if you're in Discord, I'm going to be doing these more as well. Deeper breakdowns. I kind of just want to like create more value as well. And I kind of post this up on Twitter, but I can't go too in depth sometimes. So for instance, yesterday, in Discord, I gave a really good breakdown on 2 stocks that I really liked. If you watch the rundowns, also worth watching. But again, last night I went over 2 things, Meta, and then I went over AMD. And I said AMD, if you open up below 148, you're looking for 145, then 141. AMD had a pretty bad day. Meta was hurting way more in the after hours and kind of bounced back up above 583, but below 561, you're looking for a big breakdown below 544. You also have some key levels in there as well. Meta nothing happened there because you didn't break that low today. But again, that stuff will be happening. So again, I'll give you guys a freebie right now. My top stock right now is going to be Meta. I think Meta on the downside is absolutely gorgeous. Below 561.4. I think the downside is extremely likely, going all the way back down into 545 very quickly, very illiquid there. Again, it's one of the better setups out there. I think it just looks amazing. Again, there's no liquidity, so top of your watch list has to be there. AMD has been a good play as well. Again, I'm looking for more continuation. I did get stopped out of a little scalp later on in the day after you had the initial breakdown. I was looking for more continuation to 141. Personal mistake here. I was going for previous lows where you broke down to hit 143, obviously. But again, what was I looking at here? You kind of came back into this next little range and kind of rejected, and you made lower highs for the rest of the day. I think below 145, this still looks very good. You're looking for 141, so keep it on your watch list. NVIDIA is seeing still some sell side here. I still think it's the best semiconductor name out there, but overall, you're just basing. It looks like it's just a drop-based drop ready to happen here. So again, you drop, you base, you're looking to drop again below 132. Sell side is likely. If you get back above 136, I'd be trading it back to the upside into 139, but until you get back above 136, I think the downside makes the most sense into like 131.5, possibly even lower to 129, and then you're very illiquid as well. So again, what I'd be watching for there. Obviously, I just mentioned Amazon. Amazon back above 195 is a hot name, but until then, be very, very careful because in my opinion, the only way Amazon doesn't break above 195 is if futures look bad. And if futures look bad, then I'm not going to look to go long in the market. Yeah, of course, right? That makes total logical sense. It should at least. Google has been one of my favorite names as well. But again, it doesn't matter how good your stock looks. If futures don't line up with your stock, it's going to be a very difficult trade to perform, right? It's going to be a very difficult trade to execute. So although I love Google, had good earnings, it's coming back down because futures, the Nasdaq dropped like 500 points today. Go figure. So again, what you're looking at there also. Okay, so make sure you're watching that. Now I will say long dated, I don't have enough of these long dated names out here, but I think Robinhood, as it drops, big opportunity here. We'll be watching it. Coinbase, I think dated as well, is a very interesting opportunity when the market does indeed bounce. Okay. Because again, I'm telling you right now, Trump gets elected, Coinbase probably becomes one of my favorite longer 6-month term plays. I'm telling you right now. Trump gets elected, Coinbase, MicroStrategy, major opportunities, got to be watching them. Simple as that, okay? What's happening here with the DXY and yields? Again, DXY coming back into the 200. We would love to see us break back below the 200 daily moving average here on the DXY. You go into yields as well. The 10-year yield is stagnating at highs and just hitting that downtrend that we've gone over so many times. The 30-year yield sitting in the downtrend as well, trying to break back down when you want to get back below the 200 SMA. You're just not able to do it right now. Speaking of Bitcoin, going in there as well, continues to break out, continues to look good. You're at 70K. Again, we talked about the bump and run, the break, retest, and continuation. I think Bitcoin will hold up on it, relatively speaking, until the election. If Donald Trump does not win the election, I am not too bullish on Bitcoin. I'll tell you to hit the brakes and take a walk, to say it lightly. So again, watching that as well. Microsoft had earnings yesterday. I forgot to mention this, and I'm kind of sad that I just did it so out of order. But again, Microsoft, and again, this kind of sucks too. I got in just a little early again on the day, right? So again, I go to something like the 5-minute. You can see here as well. I should have been a little bit more conservative with some of these entries. I should have been more patient as well. I just didn't think you'd see any type of bounce, to be totally honest. You got a little bit of a breakout here, but ultimately you can see you shoot back down here as well, starting at 404. I still think Microsoft is very weak. You're targeting 404 going into the daily chart as well. Again, you start breaking that, you're coming down into like probably 400 flat, like being totally realistic. You don't have a lot of liquidity down here. This is where I'd be looking. I mean, this thing gets pretty weak when you look at Microsoft below. And again, it's below your 200 SMA. You broke the structure of making higher lows. Very weak right now. So what I'd be looking at, overall the stocks that I'm looking at in the market as well. We look at SPY, looking at the volume on the day, wasn't terrible, wasn't the greatest. 48 million, you saw some upticking there. And I would mention middle of the day, volume, nothing happened. There was no buyer stepping into the volume. Just stopped for like 2 hours in the day. You're upticking. I expect tomorrow to get a little aggressive and some volatility in the market as well. Understand that. VIX is getting elevated as well. Again, you're kind of getting back above 23, 24. So I expect VIX to kind of pop off a little bit. So again, I'm looking for volatility in the market now. I expect volume to kick in here. Again, I like what I'm seeing. Some big opportunities coming up. Big trades. Discord link down below. I'll see you guys in there. Live voice chat in the morning. Have a good one, traders.